What's good, y'all? It is Jimbo Jamble back for another video, and the mic works now, as you can guys obviously tell, but that doesn't matter. We were talking about Snake Man today. I'm going to show you that Snake Man is not dead, and the strategies with it are way cooler than it used to be. Instead of just 8-drop cat and the 9 mom and to have a Dawn of a Giant and to not get punished, blah blah blah, a bunch of garbage. But I have two really cool builds I want to showcase for you guys today, just to prove that the deck does not suck anymore. And we have a Straw Hat version and a Donquixote version, inspired by the guy from, I believe, the Las Vegas regional. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to showcase both of those lists for you guys and just show what Snake Man can do post-ban. Before we get into the deck list, just press that like button, bro. It's free. You're not going to get anything bad out of it. Might as well do it. Also, that subscribe button. It'll change your life one day. I'm telling you. Sorry. Let's just go straight to the deck list. Alrighty, y'all. So here is the list. It really is just a regular everyday Snake Man core, but with just the substitution of a couple of the top ends in the Rush 9-drop Luffy, the Rush 8-drop Luffy, and 2 of the Mihawk. These cards were played as like 1, maybe 2 ofs in earlier builds, but people later realized they don't even need them. You just kind of need all heal, all blocker, add Dawn. It's really all you need. Just destroy the meta with it. But good thing that's gone now, because Snake Man is one of my favorite characters in the show, and I really wanted to play this leader, but the deck got too good and I thought I was going to get banned, so I didn't want to, waste my time playing the deck like this. But the leader didn't get banned, so I'm happy with that. And we're ready. So first off, we got the 3-drop Dofi blocker. Just to look at the top 5, rearrange at the top or bottom, lets you dig deeper through your deck, or, guarantee knowing what your top couple cards are for your leader effect the next turn. And you're going to be able to, get the max value out of your 9-drop Sanjis, which is really strong. It's kind of just a mini 5-drop Nami, which we'll get into here in a second, but that's really all he's for. Also blocker, 1k if you really don't need him. Good card. And then obviously you have to run, I think you have to run 2 of this card in every single blue deck. This card's really stupid. I think this card should get banned, but just read it on your own time if you don't know what this card does, because you're gonna run into it. 5-drop Nami. This is one of the main pieces of this deck. This helps be able to guarantee Sanji plays to the absolute highest potential possible. A draw 3, place 2 on top or bottom. You can place the Sanji and the target on the top as well, so you can just add that Sanji back to hand and know what's on the top of your deck when you play the Sanji. So really good blocker. Got the 8-drop Rush Luffy from OP11. I think this card's heavily underrated. I definitely could see this card even going in something upwards of like Sakazuki since the deck's back. I think this is a really strong card in that deck, bouncing a 4 cost, making it possibly like a... You could probably bounce like anything in the game if you're playing Sokka with Rush on top of it, but that doesn't matter. Really strong card in my opinion. I definitely could see taking this down to 2 and taking this up to 4, but you want an 8 Dawn turn. If you're on 8 Dawn, you're not really going to have any plays, so I have this at 3. Really good rush attacker. Can really be scary. You can bounce the blockers that your opponent plays, or just, really good cards that are on their board. And then one of the boss monsters of the deck, 9-drop Mihawk. Just a really good tempo play. Being able to bottom deck a 7 cost on play. Really strong. Nothing more, nothing less. Really strong off Sanji as well. And then obviously the reason to play this deck is 9-drop Sanji. Reveal the top card. If it's a 9 cost or less character, you can play it for free. Really dumb. You can get so much value off of it. There's not really a bad outcome of playing this card as long as you know what's on top of your deck. But really dumb card, I think. It's also one of my favorite cards in this game, even though it's a really dumb card. Next up, we got the 3-drop Zorjuro from set 5. This card was an absolute staple in red purple Luffy, sometimes green purple Luffy, but not really much anymore. And it definitely is in this deck because you have 3 or less life when attacking, add an active Dawn from your Dawn deck, helps ramp super good while also getting a nice swing in. Next up, we got the 3-drop Usohachi. Really dumb card. I think this is a staple for purple moving forward with, you know, 8 or more Dawn, rest of 5 or less. That's a green card. This is a green card with purple on it. That's what I like to see it as. And arguably the most generic card in purple in Bond Clay, on play added on active. If you attack, you get to copy the power of another character on your opponent's board. That's really strong, to be honest. And it doesn't say base power. The character himself gains base power, but he doesn't gain power to base power of the opponent's character. So if your opponent has like a boosted character, that doesn't matter. It'll still be that power. So really, really good card. Really expensive card. Good thing it's getting reprinted in PRB too, because I sold mine for a good price. So next up we got 6-drop Sanji. Searchable 2K off your deck. And it's a really good, 2K blocker. Can be a 3 cost if you're really down bad. If you gianted like twice the turn before, you can play this up for 3, but that's very unlikely. Your goal is to just get to 10 and stay at 10 for the rest of the game. But if you're in that scenario, you can't go wrong with playing him on the board. And then the big 9-drop Secret Luffy from OP09. Return a Dawn to your Dawn deck, draw a card, and he gets Rush. Really good card. Just a huge rush attacker. This is your optimal play off of 9-drop Sanji. Just get the draw, get another card. And after the stack, you'll actually know what you're going to be drawing because you looked at the top 5, and if you leave it on the top, all the SNAKEMAN stuff. But really, really big and scary boss monster. Especially paired off with Sanji. If you play both of those on the same turn, you're kind of in a winning position. That's it for the characters. There's a few events in this deck that kind of just focus on ramping and removal if you have nothing else to do on your turns. We got a Red Rock, searchable card. You never know when you need it. Place any character at the bottom of the deck. Trigger can also come up, but that's not really that important. We got 2 Graveblade. And I think this card's really underrated, especially comeback Sakazuki. This card will be good, removing a good bit of their board, whether it's their Kuzans or their Rebekkas or their Luccis. I've seen people be playing Jozu lately, so that's going to be a really good target to hit off of that. Trigger's also bottoming a 5, really, really good. Alrighty, next up we got kind of another one of the reasons to play the deck in Gum Gum Giant. Really dumb card, but I love it. Super dumb counter event, nothing to really speak of. And then you got the Gear 2. This is really only able to be played in this deck. You can play it in like Reiju or something, but your goal is to really minus Dawn rather than gain it. So it's a guard point and also a 3-cost ramper. Really strong generic card for this deck. And we got one of the good cards in this deck, Godthread, 5-drop, pop a 5, add an active Dawn. Really strong. If you're on 5 Dawn, this is a really strong play. You go to 6, and then you'll go to 8 the next turn, allowing for your leader effect the turn after that. In the ideal world, you really want to triple ramp if you're going first. That's kind of the main goal. Whether it's with Zorjuro or Bond Clay or Gear 2, you kind of just want to be able to ramp up 3 times. But it's a good card nonetheless. I've seen a lot of people play it, so might as well throw it in there. Alrighty, let me show you what this deck can really do, because this deck is still really strong. Alrighty guys, so starting off with the first Straw Hat game. We are going to go first in this matchup, strictly because, the opponent got to pick. And Sokka likes to go second anyway. So they add that Kuzan. That's the ideal 4-Don turn for them. So that 8-drop Luffy in my hand is actually going to be very nice. They use leader ability, trash Hina. It's fine. I'm just going to swing 6, play out the Juro, and hopefully they just play out the Kuzan, which is the case. And, you know, they just kind of have to pass, filter, and then pass. They trash the Kuzan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to swing a 5k, get an active Dawn since I'm at 3 or less life. And then we're going to probably drop that Bond Clay to get to the 9 Dawn turn early. We're already at 7 Dawn turn 3, which is, you know, kind of huge. And I also want to save these Dawn for a Bagua, so I'm going to just swing a 6. They're more than likely going to take on their 6 Dawn turn. I think for a second here, they use leader, trash a Lucci. I want to, you know, think about this math here. Take a swing at the Juro. Now, I thought in this situation they were going to swing at lives and say we're going to remove my board anyway, but that was not the case. You might as well get as much as you can with your swings. So, you know, there is a world where I could counter, but they end up Hound Blazing my Bond Clay, and I'm going to take this life. Brand new, get a blue Tashigi Searcher, I believe. This is the golden opportunity to drop the 8-drop Luffy here. I could bounce that Kuzan to hand, which is really, really strong, and attach it on Elite as well. Get a nice 7k swing magic number there. Think about if they want to take this or not. Yep, that is definitely a turn to take. And then I'm going to swing another 8. They're probably going to get 2Ks there. On their 8 on turn. Thinking about this for a second here. Really thinking here. This is pretty difficult. Use leader ability to trash a Kuzan. And they Tempest Kick minus the Luffy here. Get that down to a 5 cost. And plus leader ability down to a 4 cost. So we can definitely get that in range of something. Not 100% certain, but they drop the Jack. They're not going to be able to pop it. They just pass the turn, and they let me get to start leader ability. Not a good stack there, but we did draw another 8-drop. In this scenario, I would like to drop the 8-drop more than likely because I can get 2 9k swings rather than an 8k and a 10k. And I also don't have to shuffle it on, so I don't get punished for using a Giant here. So in this version, I kind of want to use Giant as kind of an emergency counter resource rather than just, hey, my hand sucks, I'm going to fix it. So I'm going to get a double 9k swing in, which is huge. But in this situation, he got a black spiral trigger, which is nullify the effects of a character for the turn. Able to nullify my 8-drop Luffy, and it loses its rush, so it does not have the ability to attack, which obviously hurts, but that's fine. We're just gonna pass. We have 2 8-drops on the board, which is really, really strong, and I'm in a very good spot. You know, I couldn't imagine both of these getting removed on the same turn, but we will see. We're thinking about what they want to do with their Dawn. You know, Sokka is very hard to play. You know, you gotta think of, do I use Tempest Kick? Do I Rebecca Hina Lucci? Etc., etc. Just everything. But in this case, they do Rebecca Hina. And I believe that plus Leader Swing can equal a Jack KO. But I'm not 100% certain if they do this here. So they do swing 5 just to get that minus. And then they do Jack that Luffy, which pretty much just says that Luffy didn't do anything, which is pretty unfortunate. But we move on. We still have this other 8 cost on board. They drop a Man Sherry, you know, get some good trash recursion. And also with that card, you can bottom deck your Hound Blazes in that deck, which I think is kind of insane. I do remember, you know, all of the bottom decking that Sokka used to do back in like set 5 and 6 with the Man Sherry. But, you know, it's nothing short of a fading memory. They do another Man Sherry add the black Tashigi, and then they play out a blue Tashigi to add a T-Bone. So that is two 2Ks in hand. Going on to our next turn. Another pretty rough turn with the stack, but we got a Red Rock, be able to bottom deck pretty much the only threat on their board. Also getting some good strong swings in. More than likely being able to kill this card. Yep. I mean, I just want to say a little fuck you to that Mancherry. That card is very annoying, and I want to, might as well just absolutely guarantee it since I have really nothing else to do with the Dawn. So I'm gonna keep 2 Dawn up. Just, kind of bait stuff out. Went on to their turn. Trash a Tenzon. Yeah, that is definitely a bad card in this matchup. Really, because obviously I have Red Rock. I can just rock it, and they just literally wasted their entire Dawn for nothing. Thinking about this turn here. So they start off with a Rebecca. More than likely go into a Hina. That is kind of just the ideal card to target with Rebecca in Sokka. They are thinking about this. They add the 4-drop Qs. Okay. So they minus... Yeah, they play out Hina. Yeah, they add that Kuzan, play Hina, just to get the body on the board. But luckily, the Luffy is not gone. So I think this turn you just drop the big bungus. Swing a large 8K swing, bounce that Becca blocker to hand. It does kind of hurt to do that, but no, we're going to actually bounce the Kuzan. I definitely think I could have gotten a really scary turn, but I definitely wanted that card. Houndblaze Trigger. Houndblaze Trigger. Return a character with a cost of 3 or less to the hand. So you bounce the Tashigi Searcher back to hand, get some more resources in. So I'm just going to swing a 7 and a 10. That is a 2K, 1K. And then the 10K swing, that's kind of just an insta block. And in this point in the game, they're kind of just in a bad state. Yeah, they just concede right there. Yeah, this deck I did have the Kaido Zone, but it did not come up. So that's going to be it for one of the games with the Straw Hat version. Let's go on to the second one. Alrighty, y'all. So the second game, once again against Sokka. This was all over the place in the unlimited version of the sim, because people glaze that guy. I don't know why, but I don't like the deck. I never did. But we are going second in this matchup, allowing us for a really easy and guaranteed ramp turn 2 with the Bond Clay. So they do some searching. They add a brand new. They play said brand new. Add a Houndblaze. Very good card there. More than likely, they're not going to be using it. So I'm just going to ramp with the Bond Clay, swing 7. They're going to take it. Anything 7 or more, they're typically going to take that first life. A lot of times if you swing 5 or 6 at them, they counter. But if you swing 7 or more, they almost always take it. So just use that for future reference if it comes up. Thinking of what to play on the forward on turn. It more than likely... Oh, they just Houndblaze the Bond Clay. Okay. And then a big AK swing. I'm going to take it. Trigger. Ramp a Dawn. That would set me up for leader effect the next turn. Because I'm going to be on 6 Dawn. Going up to 8. So this is really the good turn to play out the Nami blocker. I'm thinking of, if I want to keep a Dawn up for Gear 2 or not. So I'm going to just get the big swing on brand new. So I don't have to worry about that. With, the Houndblaze boost. I'm going to play the Nami. Filter 3. Bottom deck 2 God Thread because I don't really need those. I am in, range of leader effect. I'm going to start spamming the board like crazy. So they are on their 7 Dawn turn. I wouldn't be surprised if a 7-dot Borzo here. I'm not 100% sure if they play that anymore. I think it's just a little bit slow of a card nowadays. They do a 6K swing, reduce the Nami to a 3 cost. They drop a Suru, Rebecca into Kuzan, play Brook, pop Becca. Okay. So, okay, I think this turn I gamble. Jimble Jamble takes a gamble, fellas. Because I really have nothing else to do. Regardless, it's a 9-cost body, but I got into a nice little stack there. Stacker card there. Being able to, reassure for what's going to be going on in my next turn. Swing 6 of that Brook, they're going to block. They definitely need that Brook to, be able to pop that Dofi blocker. Have a Dawn up. We're in a pretty good spot. Free -1, probably swing. Just play out a Lucci and pop. Okay, interesting. 6k at lead. I'm going to counter with the Bond Clay. Don't need that card anymore. I believe probably a Rebecca here is more than likely going to be the case. It's a 4-zone. Okay. Good thing we have the 8-drop Luffy on the top deck. We're going to add the Hachi, place everything on the top. I'm going to keep it as is so I can draw that 2k. I'm going to swing a 6k at lead. More than likely, they're going to counter here. And this turn is going to be really impactful. Going 9-drop into the 8-drop, but first you just got to get the swings in because you never know with triggers nowadays. So I'm going to swing big, and they just concede at that point. They don't have that much counter in hand. I could bounce that Kuzan, kind of just mitigating their reduction. Life isn't too hot either. Yep. Pretty easy to, push yourself forward, even if you feel like you're in a losing position. That's what this deck kind of felt like the entire time in its existence. Is just, even though you feel like you're in a way more losing of a position, you can easily push yourself back out of that little deep hole. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the Straw Hat version. I do have 2 games with the Donquixote version, so we're gonna head over to that and show you what that deck does. Alrighty, so the Donquixote version is pretty meme-worthy, but we're just going to kind of quickly breeze through the cards that are different in here, which is quite a bit. So we have this. This is searchable off of one of the searcher in this deck, which is really neat. But first off, we got the 7-drop Dofi. I just think this is a good tempo play. You're able to play this off of Sanji. You can search it with the Sugar Searcher. Just a really good tempo play that you can't go wrong with. Speaking of searchers, we got the Sugar Searcher. It's a lot like the Green Bonnie from the STO2. Rest the Dawn, rest the character, top 5, add a card. And then we have the 2K Yola. When opponent attacks, rest 2 Dawn, rest a 4 cost. I thought this card was very interesting to put in here, especially paired off with the 5-drop Rosinante. You get, if you have just a crap ton of Dawn active, like using this is not too bad if it's on the board. But that's really all it is. It's mainly just a 2K, but it definitely can come up. And then we got the Juro, Hachi, Bond Clay, usual stuff. And the 5-drop Rosinante. Trash an event from your hand, draw 2 on play. And then if you have 7 or more Dawn, set 2 of them active. That allows you to use all of your Dawn for the turn. And still have Dawn up for Giant in Gear 2. Pretty stupid. And the card you can actually play this off of is the 8-drop Dofi. Dawn X1, play a Donquixote Pirates 5 or less character from hand. And then on your opponent's turn, you can rest a Dawn, add an active from your Dawn deck, which is really good considering you Dawn X1 for this cost. Really, really good. You can Giant after the fact as well, all that stuff. And then we got the usual events, minus Grab Blade. I definitely think I will put Grab Blade in here eventually, but this is the list. Really funny, to say the least. Alrighty, y'all, so first Donquixote game. This is, obviously, you can tell from down here, this is a loss. I'm just going to show you guys what the slight unfortunate weaknesses are of the deck, which is Zoro. I feel like almost every deck in the game loses to Zoro in one way or another. Because, I mean, being able to swing big at a leader and a character on the same turn built into a leader, it's insane. So, this hand, I really don't know why I kept this hand, but that's besides the point. I think it's because I had, kind of the ideal ramping curve here. I'm going to be able to gear 2, get to 4, and then I'll be at 6, be able to bond clay into, 8-drop Dofi shenanigans, but they swing a 7k, I'm going to counter out because I know I'm going to be getting destroyed in the next couple turns here. So I'm just going to play that bond clay, get that ramp out of the way, and I'm just going to swing, or actually, no, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, we could triple ramp. We are now at 8 Dawn on turn 3. So we have leader effect able to be happening. 6k lead, they counter. Not a problem. Tashigi, yep, dumb card. Big 9 there, and then a big 9 to the dome. I'm definitely, obviously, you take this here. I mean, you kind of can't counter out. Sanji, that's a really good card to see there, but an unfortunate top 5. I wanted to keep it at the top. So I believe I'm going to drop the 7-cost kid this turn just to become a 7k leader. And they can't really do anything about it because they don't really have any way to rest it. Tashigi rests at original 6 or less. Kuina rests at original 4 or less. Really, the only card that they can rest it with is Dead Man's Game, which can rest any 2 characters or Dawn, which is really bad against this deck as well. It's just icing on the cake for a bad matchup. It's really unfortunate, but going on, we drop the Rosinante, draw 2. I'm going to swing 6, and then I'm going to drop the 5-cost Nami. Get some filter in there. And play some cards on the top. It is a pretty unfortunate set of things to draw, but... And then with Rosinante, I can set Dawn active, so I'm able to use a lot more Dawn than I'm, used to using. So if I were to drop a 9 cost, I can still use that one last Dawn to, attach it onto my leader, get a 7k swing in, and I can just set Dawn back active after. Heading on to their 8 Dawn turn. This is getting pretty bad. Yep, drop the big 8 cost Mihawk here. They're going to swing an 8k at lead. I think I want to block here because if I block with the Zoro swing, they can just set it back active and I just take it anyway. So yep, see, I don't know why I added that there. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, never mind. I was thinking I should have added the Hachi instead, but it didn't matter. So I'm just going to swing that, and I'm going to go Sanji into 9 or 7 cost Kid. Become a 7k leader. This is definitely a bit of spice that I wanted to try and cook up. I definitely could have swung 8 there, but we're fine. You can see this is just a pretty brutal matchup. They're at 3 life. I'm at 1. 7 at 7. Counter 1k. That's not a big deal. Cavendish. Big swing at the leader. I think I want to keep this card on the board. There, I could finally go into what the deck was designed to do. Another 8. I'm going to counter 2k, 1k. I want to keep it to the best of my ability. But I might just let this die. I definitely shouldn't have. I swing a 9k at lead. I 2k, 1k this. And then they use that one event to set my cards active. I believe, hold on. I might have actually forgot to use my leader there. Because I was just, kind of triggered with everything. Wow. I forgot the leader effect. That is on my bad. Sorry, channel. I am bad at the card game sometimes when I'm a bit flamed up. But I'm just going to get some filter in because I really have no other plays. I'm just going to try to swing at some board. I'm just going to try to just swing at board, but it doesn't really matter, especially if they have something like Dead Man's Game. I don't even have a counter event in hand. I'm really just thinking about what to do with this Dawn, but I think I'm just going to swing a 7. I'm going to rest that Koshiro. I'm going to keep the Dawn up just to try to, bait out a little bit. There we go, down to 0 life. That makes it feel a bit better, but still we're dead as hell. Dead Man's Game is more than likely happening here. Either that or Tashigi. 8k lead. I have no 2ks in hand. Drop those. Use King of the Pirates, set the leader active again. I'm going to double 1k. I'm going to swing 6 at lead, just get 2 Dawn back active. Doesn't do anything. And then they have another one. Set the leader active again. They're going to swing 7. I block here. I have no other cards in hand. They're just going to swing a 9. They got it. But yeah, that's a very rough turn of events. 3 of those in a row, or in just one game, is really kind of insane. But, that's how the game works. There's bad matchups. There's good matchups. There's long games. There's short games. Just allows, a really diverse set of decks compared to, just one top tier deck that just beats everything. Like SNAKEMAN was with the Cat and 9 Mom. But, yep, decks lose. But we're going to go to another game against a Sokka where we do win. It was quite an uphill battle, but we eventually did get there. So let's just cut straight to it. Alrighty, y'all. So the final game of this video. Donquixote SNAKEMAN versus Blue-Black Sakazuki. Sokka's still getting figured out. So they start off with a Tempest Kick. That kind of just tells me that their hand is not, doing too hot. I did go first, which was lucky for me. I'm able to drop the Juro early on. They trashed the Black Spiral. I don't know why people are playing that event. If anybody knows why, let me know in the comments. But they are able to Utsa and no Marukumo. I forgot that card, the real name of the card. But anyway, we draw the Bond Clay for turn, and we're able to ramp to up to 6. Swing 8 at lead. They're down to 2 life already, which is really, really strong. Hoping we can get a, either a Donquixote. Wow. Double Tempest Kick just to get some draws. And then we go to a Lucci. They bottom deck some of the good events. We do not have a target for the 8-drop, but we have the blue 7-drop that I threw in here, which is actually helped quite a bit. Get that Uda off the board, just a free -2. It adds up at the end of the day. So they swing a 6. We take those. I mean, we kind of have to there with 3 giants in hand, but they're thinking about what they want to do with their turn, thinking if they can, pop it after using 3 Tempest Kick. I don't know. They drop a... Okay, yeah. They drop the Kuzan and Rebecca add back the Jack and play out the Uda so they can have a card to play out. So I was able to add the Nami. I almost whiffed on that, actually. So I'm going to be able to draw into the 5-drop Rosie, trash the Giant into draw 2, which is really strong. So I'm going to swing a 7k at lead. Nice block there. So I'm able to get a 7k to 3 there. Play into Rosie, draw 2. Looking pretty good, especially with that Dofi on the board. I'm able to add a Dawn active on my opponent's turn by just resting it on when they attack. So I got a pretty nasty board now. I definitely think that the 8-drop Donquixote package is really strong. It just really needs to find a, proper home. But besides the point, they drop that 4-drop Shirahoshi minus Rosie down to a 1 cost. Play the Brook. Get that to a... get that card removed. Swing with Kuzan minus Dofi down to a 3 cost, 6k swing. I can 1k out that. And then an 8k lead that lets me know, hey, I am chilling. You know, it doesn't really matter if I take this or not, but I am going to end up taking it. And then we see the 8-drop Rose or Dofi on the top deck. So we might actually go you know, I'm thinking about this stack here, trying to see, you know, hey, what card do I want to draw here? But that doesn't matter. We're going to go Sanji into the 8-drop Dofi here in a second, or we're going to swing big swings, just, you know, clear some board or some blockers. So we go to 7k, they block, swing 9k, let it die. 9 costs into 8-drop into 3-drop, stack your deck for next turn. So good in my opinion. So, got 2 huge bodies and a blocker on the board. I get puddinged. Womp womp. I hate that card, but I think we're fine. We got a lot of counter out of that. So, I'm going to rest a Dawn, add an active Dawn when they attack with the Brook, pop the Dofi blocker. You know, simple 1k out of that. Not too big of a deal. 7k swing. I'm going to 2k that, or I'll take it. And then, yeah, I think I would take that there. You know, you just try to bait the opponent out to, yep, that's the game there. Just to try to bait the opponent out to use as much Dawn as possible. But that's kind of all they had to do with that Dawn anyway. But yeah, so we're going to go on to the post discussion about this deck and, you know, what other decks we might build in the future. So let's just get right to it. So SNAKEMAN is not dead. I could show you guys that pretty easily with, you know, the games that we showed today. You know, obviously it still has its bad matchups in, you know, like Green Zoro or, you know, Betty or Rayleigh. We didn't play against those decks today, but that is pretty generically just a bad matchup in general. Anything aggro or, you know, multiple swings in a turn is pretty rough, but the deck is still, you know, still has legs. Whether you want to build Straw Hat, Donquixote, or even any other, you know, strategy, whatever you want to build, you know, the deck still works. But that's going to be it for the video today, y'all. Y'all press that like button. I'm just saying, it's not that hard to do. Same with that sub button. It doesn't do anything bad to you, so you might as well do it. You know? So, I hope y'all enjoyed. Hope y'all got some good info out of it. I'm thinking about doing Sokka soon. So, stay tuned for that if you guys are some Sokka copers. I'm saying, it's a cope deck. I don't care. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. We out of here.